How did you get Penny Chenery to say, yes, you can do this? Well, what came first, getting her or having you go and talk to her and say, I'm going to play you?
I don't think I'd have the nerve to do that with her. You know, we bonded on a couple of issues. I think the main one was that we're sort of daddy's girls who made good, you know, and the mantle of the family business was passed to us for a reason, and I think if you look behind the curtain of the life of women that are admirable, you'll find a father that instilled a sense of something to live up to in them. And I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think that's expressed in our film too. The generational will to do right by the investment of our forebears, you know, which is interesting since we're dealing with breeding in our film and the horse breeding industry.
I think too that one of the things she said that was funny and could be misinterpreted was finally somebody with enough money came along, and I don't think that meant enough money to pay her because she considers Secretariat sacred. It was somebody who would do it right, and I think she appreciated also that it was Disney, because there's a sort of a classy commitment to doing the thing in a certain way, a brand name of this is who we are, this is what we stand for, and that translated into, well, I'll trust you to do it. And by the way, that was long before I ever got involved with it. They had already, I wish I could say I helped talk them into it, it wasn't that. But afterwards, Diane went and stayed with Penny and spent time with her, and that was a magical confluence of rivers.
As this was a crash course for me. I come from westerns and loping in the plains on a whole other thing with thoroughbreds and the rocket fuel under the saddle there. So and the whole, you know, lineage of this being the king's sport and the separation of, you know, people and 1973 for me, it was such an interesting gap in the generation gap, and you know, women's lib was still a word, and it used to be a family event that you'd bring all of your kids and you'd go sit and have a picnic in the center field, and it was you made a day of it, a day at the races. Remember that?
Any memories of that time at all, and sort of the story at all going into this?
Well, Diane wasn't born in 1960.
Well,
Good answer.
I think she was a lot.
But I was on my fourth marriage. What do you think?
Well, I was 8, and I
Right.
loved it. I took it very personally. I was a girl in love with horses, and at that moment in time I was actually overseas, and yeah, I was just weaned on Pegasus, and I'd have these equine dreams, and my rocking horse would take me places that only rocking horses can take 3-year-olds, and you know, I'd win contests of drawing horses, and Bloomingdale's made a rug out of my drawing, and I just, I bought it hook, line, and sinker in terms of the archetype. For me, if I had a totem animal, it's a horse. And I don't have much more to add, you know, except I do recall very much that, you know, it was like smelling a rose after all the complaining and bitterness and squawking of the cynicism of the day, you know, Watergate and the Vietnam War and the disparity of the economy and the generation gap and, you know, gay rights, women's rights. Everybody was up in arms about something, and here I am, this kid, listening to everybody, and they all got quiet, and they all were grateful for a moment for the simplicity of the gift of joy that this horse enjoyed about himself, obviously, because
Like smelling a rose. That's perfect. That is perfect. I wish you had said that before.
I'm sorry. Should we change the title of the movie? I loved that moment where I have that look with Secretariat, or Penny has the look with Secretariat, because it's wordless and people can infuse it with as much capacity as they have for being able to step into the shoes of Penny in that moment. And it's true, you can't have any guile around a horse. think that's why they call it horse sense, because they sense it. I don't know if they have X-ray vision. I don't know what they're seeing when they look at people, but they smell fear and they smell agendas, and you have to make it the horse's idea. If you have an idea that you want the horse to do, it needs to be the horse's idea. Well, how do you manipulate that outcome? I'm not a horse whisperer. I'm just an actress, but I know that we had a take that was a first take, and that horse was all over the place. He didn't like me, and he didn't like the moment, and I said, okay. They warned me about this. I've read about equine therapy, and I just have to get all my junk and throw it out. You know, get zen now. There's no later. The sun is going down. The sky is perfect. We got to shoot this. And, you know, how do you rush an experience like that? Hurry up, relax. You know, the horse is ready. Are you? And I was like, okay. So I did. I got into that place, and by following the energy of the piece that's available to a horse. And it sounds corny, but that's okay, because it's true. And we arrived, and there was enough film in the mag to catch it, and it's in the movie, and I'm delighted. So it was a real communion between me and the actor.
I think that horses, that thoroughbreds and women have something in common, which is you can't understand them, and they don't want you to understand them. They want you to admire them. They want you to look at them and respect them and go, wow. That's at heart, you know, the magnificence that horses bring. And I believe it's something that Penny had, and I know absolutely it's something you see on the screen when you see Diane playing. No, the best people will make the best movie in the best way. And that enabled us to have the visuals of the racing in that way, like you feel like you are Secretariat, and he and Ron Turcotte, and like they're in the heat of battle, they didn't know what would happen. And then in terms of the soul aspects of the story, we were inside the characters' lives, in their alone moments, their silences. So it amazes me and delights me to hear the audiences sitting there screaming at the screen, go, go, go. And I think that's what happened. And
They actually have dirt in their eyes.
Yeah.
No, that you're here.